and welcome to Tackle the Board. My name is Rus Reese. You can find me at Chris Ebom on Twitter. It is great to be back, be on the live show. Good to be back with all the people. It is football season, and even more exciting, I am with my co-host, Rus Reese, the Vegas line reader. Hey, man, what's happening? What's going on?
Oh, yeah, I'm feeling good. It's been a long time since we've seen each other, man.
I know it's tough, man. You know, when family, work, kids, all that stuff, we're in the same boat, man. You know, we find our time to do our content, and that's pretty much about it, man.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. We were getting drained at the end of last season, but now all of a sudden getting rejuvenated now that we miss football again. So I'm like, yep, we definitely got to do the show again. Definitely excited, and people that join us, hopefully they join us again this season and follow the picks. We definitely made some easy money last year, and definitely looking forward to helping people win some more this year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm real excited that that intro really gets me going over here. You told me I wasn't even sure if we were going to really do the show again, and then you were like, "Hey, you want to do the show?" And I was like, "All right, let's do it." I've been on the golf grind all year. I know you've been doing baseball and everything, so we've been doing our individual sports, giving out our info, everything DFS, betting, all that good stuff. Now we're into the bread and butter that is football. What we've started, what we've got into when it came to sports betting, something that we've been knowledgeable of for the most part. This show is pretty much going to be all betting football. Not much DFS like last year. We might have some people on every so often that, we might ask a few questions for DFS, but this is really a football betting show. That's what we do. We do, we don't really do a whole lot of DFS, but, we want to give you guys the best info that we can. And you know what? Speaking of great info, the futures bets, this is it. This is the episode. Russ, tell the people, how good have we been at the futures?
Yeah, we've done 2 seasons so far, and I believe we're 73%, 11-4. And some of the losses that we did have were just pretty tough losses. When teams get injured, I think one of your losses was, or one of my losses, I forget which year it was, when Dak Prescott went down and we had the Cowboys to win the division. That was one of the losses.
Yeah, that was when you were there. Yeah, I remember you.
Yeah, exactly. So very limited on the losses when they do happen. I know last year, I believe, I think I went like 5-1 last year. I think the only loss was like the Saints, and got unlucky where the Saints just were facing easy competition and somehow made it into the playoffs. That team was terrible with Trevor Siemian and everything. I don't know how they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I actually think that was the one I actually pushed on. We actually lost on the Steelers one is the one I lost on, actually. And that's even worse. I don't know how the hell they made the playoffs. So definitely confident this year that we're going to make some money, and just letting everybody know this is our show. We're going to do whatever the hell we want. So whatever questions you guys have, just let us know, and we'll just do whatever we got to do. If you got DFS questions, I'd be happy. Bring it on up, look them up, see who's the best option. So we're going to do whatever we can. This is for me and Chris to have some fun, help you guys make money. And if you guys have questions, don't hesitate to ask us.
Yeah, remember, guys, just remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on a show like this. We do this once a week. We're doing it this Thursday, but eventually we're going to get a more regular day where we're doing it. This is just the best day for us this week for the most part. But hey, you know what? It's kind of funny because I'm wearing black today. Russ is wearing black. This was not even planned today. And, this is just the kind of vibe we have this year, man. No red, no negative, bringing you guys positive money constantly, being in the black. That's what we're going to do. And, we're going to have a beer while doing it. I have a big boy over here. This is a nice little crowler over here.
Damn,
shout out to Kings Road in Medford now. Fantastic. I know Medford's starting to get a little better craft brew scenery. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic, man. You got to come on by to the Medford area again.
Sick, man. Yeah, I got a blue moon. I'm already on my ass already, man. So I'll try to get through this show.
All right, man. But hey, let's get into the futures. I know everybody, I just want to talk with you and shoot the shit for a little bit, but I know the people are here for the bets, and we're going to do college first here. You're going to think like, oh, we're going to talk about Alabama. We're going to talk about, all these big time schools. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about them. But if you watch the show and you know me, I like those smaller conferences. I like to mix it up a little bit. Teams that you might even think about, I really have a good gauge on. And that's where I'm going to right here. UAB. I love their over 8.5 wins. It's -110 FanDuel Sportsbook. I was actually listening to a show today, and a certain social media company, I won't say the name, but you kind of sit on the seat, it's that kind of, sports media, good fun, very popular. The first bet, he said he loved the under 8.5. So I already know this is going to be a winning play right here. So I already know I'm on the right foot here. But if you don't know the Blazers that well, this is what they are pretty much. You're bringing back two top running backs, Dwayne McBride, gained over 1,400 yards and 13 TDs. Dylan Hopkins is back at QB. They won 12 games. They won 9 games last year. The schedule for college football is 12. That's what it is if you do not know. The tough games I looked at for them, UTSA at home, a nice little spot for them after losing to them. It was a close game. If you remember McCormick last year, he was that running back that was an absolute stud. He went right to the NFL, so that's a big hole they're going to have to avoid. And they had a good game from Harris that week. So this UAB defense is nasty. They have the best linebackers, the best defensive backs in that conference. They're looking to only give up 20 points a game. So this team should overexceed that 8.5 wins. They won 9 last year. UTSA, that should be a good spot for them at home. That's their toughest game right there in conference. They play at LSU, so I'm pretty much chalking that up as a loss. And at Western Kentucky, and we all know Bailey Zappi, the great Bailey Zappi. He's in the NFL, so those are probably the biggest shoes to fill in college football. The Hilltoppers will be pretty decent, but when you lose a QB of that caliber, you're only going to go downhill from there. So I absolutely love the Blazers. They should win this conference, but I will take them over 8.5 wins, Russ.
Nice. Yeah, these small conferences, they're usually based on the better quarterbacks in these conferences. So definitely seems like a smart pick, and they're also the favorite right now to win the conference. You got to think a team like that, favored to win the conference, is going to win 9 games. And just on what you said, you saw something on social media. I do the same thing. I go out there and I'll go on YouTube and I look at all the idiots that post stuff on there. I remember last year when I had the Northwestern under, where they had a ton of injuries before the season even started. It was like the easiest bet ever. Some guys like, yeah, they won the conference last year. They were first place. I'm like, yeah, this is college, dude. They're the same players aren't on the team anymore.
Yeah, like, they leave. They graduate.
That's what happens with college football. Yeah, it's not the NFL. It's a completely different animal. That's why I pick my spots with college, because you got to wait till a couple games play too in college football, because you just don't know what the guys are going to do yet. With NFL, you've seen a sample size of even a 1 or 2 seasons of what guys can do at quarterback. You get all these new quarterbacks coming in college football and you're like, you know, the guy's talented, but I mean, look at Joe Burrow. The first year he came in, he looked terrible. And then all of a sudden he looked like a monster. You know what I mean? Like, you just never know. You always got to wait and see with college football sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm going to jump into my first college play. It's going to be Nebraska over 7.5 wins. It's actually at -110 on DraftKings if you guys want to find that. This year, Scott Frost, he's finally going to do something here. He's been stuck with Adrian Martinez, who's only had 14 passing touchdowns last year.
Yeah, nice little running quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what he wants. Yeah. Now they bring in Casey Thompson from Texas, where Frost can now run the offense with a guy that he wants to run the offense with. They lost 7 games last year, decided by 7 points or less. And they didn't win any games last year, decided by 7 games or less. That's a huge swing, 0-7 in those games. Taking a look at their schedule, they face 6 bad teams who aren't even projected to make a bowl game. Northwestern, North Dakota, Georgia Southern, Indiana, Rutgers, and Illinois, all projected 4.5 wins or lower. And then they got at Iowa, at Purdue, and then we're home against Minnesota and Wisconsin. Those are 4 teams right there. Those are competitive games. And these are the 4 teams that they lost by 7 points or less in those games. So I at least see these guys getting revenge. And if they split 2 and 2 there, I'm making money here. So take Nebraska over 7.5 wins. I think this is the year they finally do it. All those previous years, people thought they were going to be better, but this is the year, though.
So Nebraska, this was almost a team I took based on those things you said. They had the most close losses in the entire country. You kind of touched on that for the most part. This is Scott Frost's 5th year in Nebraska. This is typically a sweet spot for a coach, especially of a guy of his caliber that had a good program before. You need your recruits to start playing better. You need like at least like 4 years to really get your freshmen to become seniors, to, you know, the guys that you really recruited real well. When I looked at their schedule, though, the toughest games: Oklahoma, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa. There's 12 games in the season. Even if they lose all those, you should still be able to hit. But if you can squeak one of those games out, like an Iowa or Michigan, which is definitely possible. I mean, you got to think. Look at Illinois. They lost Illinois beat Nebraska last year. Nobody really saw that coming. It can't happen in college, especially with Iowa with a really bad offense.
Yeah, a team will always lose one of those bad teams sometimes, and then they'll always win one against one of the really good teams. You know what I mean? It kind of like evens itself out sometimes. So I feel like it's all about like those competitive games. You got to win those competitive ones where you were close against those teams, all those 8-9 win teams that pretty much flip-flop, you know what I mean, second to fourth in the conference. You win those type of games, that's what puts you over the top, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. But hey, we got a question over here, Russ. You know, it's a little rapid fire over here. So I'm bringing the question up. It's our former boy Mitch Flat. He said, what's your feel on Air Force?
Air Force. Oh man, that's a tough question right there. So college football, I definitely got to do some more research on college football. I'm not going to lie. Because all the bigger teams, I got them all set up, ready to go. I'm making all my spreadsheets and everything, Mitch, getting us ready for the season. So,
I like it. I dig it because, you know, I'll jump in a little bit. So
you'll probably know more. Ask Chris about the small schools, because I've gotten to a point where now I'm developing my system, and I'm actually not even putting these small teams in there now. I'm like very focused on all the bigger conferences now, and I'm just taking advantage of these spots on how to just hit these games big. So I remember back in the day, Chris knows when I was the Gamble-holic back in the day, I was
we used to rise and fire
man, you got to get on this Metro college basketball game, man.
Yeah, dude, we used to hit up the MAC constantly, the MAAC, all that good stuff. But as far as the Air Force goes, for the most part, they're bringing a lot back. I'm always a fan of that with Air Force. I personally don't know what the number is on Air Force right now, but anytime an academy service brings a lot of people back, eight players back on the offense with the quarterback, that's always a good sign. So anytime with that, I know Boise's in their conference. I know they're in the Mount West and everything, but we'll get that number up later. But I think they're going to do pretty well. So I think that's always a good sign when you have a lot of returning players for an academy force. So I don't know what it is at this point, but when we find that out, I'll give you more an answer. Russ is on that right now on the pad.
Mitch knows he's got our phone number, so he can definitely.
Mitch can always hit us up at all time, but I love the questions regardless because he's
tell him leave a message. We'll get back to him at the tone, man.
I'll tell you what. Maybe I'll put something on Twitter once I get a little more deep dive a little bit.
He threw a curveball at me, man. I saw Air Force.
All questions are available. Now, if he wants to talk about Conference USA, I pretty much dabbled with Conference USA all this week. I mean, it's a weird niche right now I have this week because the games that I'm kind of doing are Conference USA. So I'll talk more about that later. But I'm going to get into my next game. We're going to Big Ten country here once again. I'm taking Wisconsin over 8.5 wins. MGM -140. They won 9 last year. This is going to be the best team in the Western Division, hands down. Braylon Allen, if you remember him, he is the guy that came in last year, really was supposed to be a senior in high school, and then he kind of left his middle of his senior year to play for Wisconsin, which is pretty outrageous, but he was absolutely fantastic. He rushed for almost 1,300 yards, 12 TDs. Ches Malusi is going to be solid as well, so they're going to have a nice little 1-2 punch. But that's going to be pretty much their guy. Braylon Allen's going to be one of the best, or the best running back in the entire country. But, you know, Graham Mertz, he's the guy that's really underachieved for a really long time. He was a super high recruit. Like, I think he was like in the top 5, like quarterbacks in Wisconsin got him. It was like the biggest quarterback they've ever got in the history of Wisconsin. I know Russ Wilson played there, but but as far as rankings go out of high school, he was a big time recruit. But now Wisconsin got their offensive coordinator, Bobby Ingram. He came from Pitt. He really mentored a guy. You ever heard of him? Kenny Pickett. He's in the NFL. He played for Pitt. He plays for the Steelers now. But this defense was one of the best in the entire country last year. I know they lost a lot, but their linebacking core is the best in the Big Ten. It's led by Nick Herbig. He's got 9 sacks from last year. Both sides of the line are going to be nasty. I looked at the schedule, the toughest games, of course. Anytime you're playing Ohio State at the Horseshoes, always going to be a tough game. Then they play Michigan State. But you know about Michigan State's really weird this year? Well, it's not even weird, but I kind of went deep into Michigan State here. So they had 4 net close wins. Mm-hmm. They overachieved extremely last year, and now they have an extremely difficult schedule. They're going to be through the gauntlet this year, Michigan State. Their entire schedule is extremely hard. I'll bring it up later. And then finally, at Iowa, their toughest West Division opponent. They beat them last year pretty handily, but they might have a chip on their shoulder, but the offense stinks. I love this spot for Wisconsin. They can easily win 9 games. The rest of the games, they should pretty much win. So even if they lost these 3, which I don't think they're going to anyway, they do play Nebraska too, which could be kind of a tough game. I know how much you like the over and everything, but this over 8.5 is slam dunk, and I'm all for. So give me the Badgers over 8.5. And I think actually Mertz is going to play pretty well this year with the new offensive coordinator. Finally unlock the potential that he's supposed to have.
Yeah, that's where I want to start talking, just randomly. So in Wisconsin's schedule, do you have it pulled up? What?
Yeah, I'll bring it up in 1 second. Yeah.
Do they play? Who's their competitive games? They got Penn State and
no Penn State. Penn State's not on there. I'm going to bring up what it is in 1 second here. Let me see.
Because I was going to just throw in that it's a good thing that you're at Ohio State. Just take that as one of your losses.
Yeah, that's a loss. I have no problem taking that as a loss.
So you want as many home games as you can against those competitive teams. You want to get those spreads of -7 in those games instead of being on the road -1 or 2 in that situation.
Right. All right. So I have the schedule here. I'm going to give you the whole breakdown. All right. Illinois State, win. Washington State at home, win. New Mexico State at home, win. Then at Ohio State, that's going to be a loss. Illinois at home should probably be a win. It'll be a hard-fought game, but they'll win. At Northwestern, not going to be that good, obviously. They're going to be 13-point dogs the first week against Nebraska, so I have no problem with that game. Then at Michigan State, but that whole schedule is going to be wonky as anything for the Spartans.
Michigan State's, like you said, I don't like Michigan State at all. They took advantage of the Northwestern early in the season. I think Michigan State was projected to win 4.5 or 5 games last year, so you were right about them overachieving there.
So then we have homecoming against Purdue, so that's good. That's a homecoming game. Then they play Maryland, which is, they're okay. They got Tua's brother there, not a big deal. Then they're at Iowa. That's going to be kind of a tough game. Then at Nebraska, and then finally Minnesota at home. I don't see them losing more than 3 games this year with that schedule. They should basically pretty much every game except at Ohio State and maybe at Michigan State. I hope they're a dog because I might just take them outright money line.
Yeah, and you just got to split on the Iowa and Nebraska one. As long as they get one of those road games, you'll be all right.
Yeah, so I love it, and you know what? You got to pay a little bit of juice, but you know me. I will pay the juice if I can gain a game in the entire season. It's worth it.
Did you say the last game you were home against Minnesota?
Correct. Yeah, home game against Minnesota.
So this is where I love it right there. Okay. You're on the border. You get to that last game. Say you're tied. You get to that game. You're going to be favored by 7 to 10 in that game at home.
Probably 6. Probably 6.
This is what I sometimes, if you're nervous, you could always hedge and just take the other side. Sometimes you could win both ways by taking the spread on Minnesota, and your team just needs to win. You can win both ways. Yeah, sometimes those are the best right there.
Absolutely, man. But we're going to get into your game now. Who do you got over in the ACC?
All right. This is an easy one, guys. Wake Forest, under 6.5 wins at +135. It's on DraftKings. All right, so we got the stud quarterback, Sam Hartman. He's going to be out indefinitely. I don't even know if he's going to be coming back here, but definitely a problem for Wake Forest. Wake Forest averaged 41 points per game last year with him in there. He was just winning all these close games. He was 3-1 in the close games, decided by 7 games or less, coming off one of their best seasons, I think, since 2006. I think they had a double-digit win season.
Yeah, 11 wins.
Yeah. So I feel like reality just kicks in here. This was kind of like the Northwestern of how I won last year. They came in first with the Big Ten, just a team that overachieved. That's just a crazy season they have. That's what's going to happen here at Wake Forest. Again, they won all those close games with a great quarterback. Now they got a redshirt freshman quarterback coming in for this team. That spells some more trouble. And I was looking at Wake Forest defense last year. They're bringing back all these players, but their team was actually 91st in the country in defensive yards allowed. So when you lose a stud quarterback and your defense isn't good, and if you look at the ACC, they got like 4 top guys that are all stud quarterbacks that put up stats. So Wake Forest wants to get into these shootout games. They're not going to be able to keep up now with him missing. So I just love this under 6.5. And we're getting plus 135. The sports books must be scared because I was telling Chris, I found it on DraftKings. They don't even have it up on some of the other books because they're probably nervous. They want to lose here. So it makes me even more confident here to take this bet.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. I know I definitely talk about it all the time. The sports books make lines for a reason. They don't make them to lose. They build the casinos, they do everything else. The fact that they won 11 games last year and this line is 6.5, I mean, that just speaks volumes and stuff. And I know it's a lot because Hartman's out and everything. The coach was talking about he's very optimistic about him coming back, but he's indefinitely out. I mean, those are just games. Look, they're going to play VMI, then they're at Vanderbilt. That'll be a tough game for them. Then they play Liberty, so that's okay. But then you hit Clemson, Florida State. Army's always a tough draw because they control the tempo.
They can't play any defense,
Yeah, I mean, they're going to grind you out left and right. Then you got NC State, North Carolina. Duke's going to be a little bit better as well. So, I mean, this is not an easy schedule. I can see why it was at 6.5 wins. But, I mean, the main reason is because Hartman's out. So, I'm on board with you. If you can find this line, I would hammer it.
Yeah, he was carrying these guys last year. And Wake Forest was a team I saw something. I think like he didn't even beat like any of the ranked teams. Like they just got lucky getting in these shootouts. North Carolina beat them. But again, these games were all in the 70s or 80s. So think about you have the stud quarterback, you win these high scoring games, and all of a sudden you don't have that stud quarterback. So your defense sucks. You're not going to stop anybody. Like there's no way this team is doing anything this year.
Right.
All right, so we'll move on. You got to your next game, right? Who you got?
This is beautiful. This is really nice, okay? Because this is I told Russ all the time, I bet with my brain, not with my heart, but this just hits both things, man. This is just a beautiful thing. I am taking Arizona State under 6.5 wins, points bet minus 155. This line is juiced because the line is typically higher in most places. Well, actually, sorry, I apologize. It was actually lower. I was seeing a lot of 5.5s, but at PointsBet was at 6.5 wins, minus 155. More than happy to take that. A brink of being bowl eligible or not, that's going to be very important. They won 8 games last year, okay? This is pretty much what the Sun Devils are here. Only 3 starters on offense, only 4 on defense. We know the whole Herm Edwards story with all the recruiting violations, and the program is just in a whirlwind of trouble right now. The Sun Devils lost 3 leading rushers from last year and their 4 top wide receivers. They literally have no offense. Wow. Emory Jones, if you know who he is, he was at Florida the last few years. He transferred over there, so he's pretty much thrown on an island. And when he was at Florida, his numbers weren't even that good. He threw for 19 touchdowns and 13 interceptions his last season there. So obviously he can turn over the ball. He's kind of a loose cannon. This is what we're looking at for the schedule, okay? These are the games I highlighted. At Oklahoma State, Utah, at USC, at Stanford. And might I add you, last year I was on the under on Stanford last year, so I knew they sucked. But now they got a whole year under their belt. The quarterback has another year, so well-coached team. They're going to be improved from last year. Washington at home, they're going to be pretty decent. UCLA is going to be very good. Oregon State, very good. And finally, dear to my heart, the Territorial Cup, Arizona, they're going to be playing in Tucson. That will not be a gimme game by any means necessary with Fish and the boys. So that is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games they have to worry about potentially losing. I mean, I was going to lose all those games.
I was getting in the groove with you. Don't press your luck on in Arizona.
I'm telling you right now, though, that I mean, this Arizona State, the Territorial Cup cannot be taken for granted. All right? This is a game that anyone can win.
Who knows? They might win 2 games. That might be their Super Bowl, man. I don't know.
I'm telling you, I'm not saying Arizona's going to win a lot of games. Their over-under is like 3 wins, but I'm just saying that the bottom line is that game is never a gimme. It's usually a close game. Once in a while, it's a blowout, but not all the time. But literally, I point out 8 games that they should be potentially worried about, and the other games they could still kind of lose. So it's like 6. They have to win 7. They have to win 7 games.
No, that's I was just messing with
This is not
Arizona.
happening.
The
Never
other
happened.
games are tough. Oregon State was improved last year. I got Washington improving this year.
Yes.
So all these teams are tough, competitive games for Arizona State. And like you said all these guys are missing. I haven't done my research on Arizona State, so you telling me this is definitely selling me to take this under on Arizona State. The Pac-12 is pretty loaded. I usually hate the Pac-12, but a lot of good quarterbacks this year, and you never see Oregon State start playing well. So these teams are starting to play well. Oregon State will play better. Washington will play better. That's just – and Arizona last year was a year that Arizona State, it was supposed to be their year to actually be improved and do something.
Big time, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't even do anything when they were supposed to be improved.
They were supposed to be good. Now they're gonna suck. So
yeah, I love that. That actually is a good pick there.
But at the end of the day, and then like their tough schedule, they're gonna have to play at Oklahoma State. That is not an easy game.
That'll be a double-digit freaking.
They might get ran out of the field on that game. That might be a stomping. That might be a good old little can of whoop ass right there.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, but enough of the college. I got my juices flowing with the college. Everything is fantastic. I can't wait. It's week 0. I might dabble into that a little bit later, but we're going to get into the NFL futures. And I'm going to get to Russ over here. He's got an under that I don't know if we ever talked about betting this team as an under. What do you got for us, Russ?
This is why I couldn't answer that Air Force question, just because I've been doing a ton of studying on the NFL, man. Like, I've been all over it this year. Like, it's been crazy. And then there was like a week left, and I'm like, oh, shit, man. I got to start studying all this freaking college football now. So I'm definitely going to get some nice ones for you guys for the NFL. So the first one, New England Patriots, under 8.5 wins. You can get it on FanDuel at -105, all right? Patriots were good last year because they spent the most money in the offseason, bringing in all that excitement, all those great players on defense. They spent so much money last year that they were limited in making any moves basically this season. They lost their Pro Bowl cornerback this season, J.C. Jackson. He went over to the Chargers. That's a huge loss for them right there. Patriots finished with 10 wins last year, all right? 6 wins were versus teams who finished with 7 wins or less, okay? 2 times against the Jets they won. They beat the Jaguars. They beat the Texans. They beat the Panthers when they had backup P.J. Walker in. They beat the Falcons. I know you remember this, Chris, on a Thursday night. The Falcons, it was
never sounds good when you say a Thursday night.
I know, like, I just love throwing the Falcons things in there because I remember you had the Falcons. You're like, yeah, but we always say never take the goddamn Falcons. So.
Never take the Falcons. That's going to be the same thing this year.
That's why the line was like juicy. They were +7 because their whole like offense was missing. Like by the time Thursday Night Football came that night, the whole Falcons offense wasn't even playing. So that was 6 wins right there the Patriots got. Let me tell you 2 of their other wins that were versus the good teams. The Titans were one of the good teams. They were missing Derrick Henry in that game. And then when they faced Buffalo, they got lucky. There was the huge windstorm where they threw the ball 3 times. All right. That's not going to happen against Buffalo this year. They're getting swept this year by Buffalo. So that's not happening either. So everything, it's just one of those seasons where everything just goes your way. This isn't Mac Jones does not impress me. So all these quarterbacks you see improve every season. I don't see him doing anything special this year. If anything, I think he's going to throw more interceptions because they're going to make him be throwing the ball a lot more here. I do not trust the Patriots all here. And also, I feel like the Patriots are going to finish 3rd in this division with the Dolphins. Yeah, with the Dolphins going to be improving. I mean, I think the Dolphins will finish a game or 2 ahead of them. I don't love the Dolphins this year, but I don't like the Patriots at all this year. Everything went their way. It is not going to happen this year. Give me the under on the Patriots.
All right. So I'm looking at their schedule. This is what I'm doing here.
No.
I'm not going to lie. It's kind of murderer's row over here. At Miami, of course, that's division game. Then at Pittsburgh. I know Pittsburgh's not going to be as good this year, but still at Pittsburgh. Then they play a Baltimore team that I kind of want to get into a little bit later. I think that's going to be a tough game. Then at Green Bay. Detroit is going to be better this year. Dan Campbell's going to get these guys going. Cleveland's going to suck. Then Chicago, then the Jets. But then Indy won't be bad. And then you're going to get to Minnesota, Buffalo, Arizona, Vegas, Cincy, Miami, and Buffalo. This is a tough schedule, Russ. This is this is not usually. I'm not usually with the under on the Patriots, and then the fact that they won those many games and those kind of fashions, as you talked about before, like I'm on board with you, man.
Look at what the Patriots did against the Bills. They won that windstorm game. So they played them later in the season. The Bills smoked them. They played again in the playoffs. The Bills smoked them. All right. These guys can't play the top tier teams. It's a quarterback league now. Mac Jones is average to below average. All right. He's not going to carry this team to 10 wins again. That was just crazy. All right. The defense was carrying this team. Mac Jones was not even putting up points. They kept getting like pick sixes and crazy defensive points against these bad quarterbacks. So this is what I love. The public sees the wins from last year, but I showed you all those games they won against those terrible teams. They had 6 gimme games against pretty much the bottom tier quarterbacks of the whole league. So nobody looks into things like that, going that deep, knowing what quarterbacks actually played in those games. But again, this is what happens when you make the playoffs. You get the tough schedule, and this is what happens the next season. This is why there's such a difference season to season.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I think the line speaks to us there, under 8.5, and you're not paying that much juice. I can dig it. But I'm getting into a game. I swear, Russ, this team might be the most overhyped team of the year, and I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm sorry. I'm just not doing it. I'm taking the under on the Jaguars, 6.5 wins. PointsBet's got it at -125. Russ, they won 3 games last year. Okay. We're looking at the team. They're coming off 3 wins. Now the over under 6.5. Are you telling me this team, the Jacksonville London Jaguars, are going to win more than double the amount of games they're going to win? I don't think so. I know they got Dougie P, the head coach, and I know Lawrence should be improved. Those are the high points. The defense, they drafted all young guys on defense, so these guys are not going to be ready for the speed of the NFL right away. I know they're studs out of college, but their first 3 out of 4 picks they spent on the defense, you're not going to see it this year. It's going to take a little bit of time. This isn't the team for it right now. Give it about a year or two, and then, look at this. So I'm looking at their schedule. If they do not win at least on the road, their first game against Washington, which they'll be a dog, or at home against the Giants, they have 0 chance of going over in this total. And they're going to be dogs in those games anyway. So you're asking for a team to win at least one of those outright games just in general. I don't even think they're going to be favored in any game. Maybe the game at home against Houston because they just suck so much. But besides that, there is no way this team is going to win 7 wins. You tell me Kirk's going to come in here and Chris Kirk, and he's just going to be like Randy Moss and get you 3 wins? I don't think so. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Lawrence is going to be doing all kinds of stupid things, and Dougie P is going to coach him up and everything. But at the end of the day, 6.5 wins. This is all media hype. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. Under 6.5, Russ. Just cash it.
I know. This is the one I'm leaning on. I just feel like it's gonna.
Russ, you know better. Come on, man.
I know the Jaguars are going to be better, but I don't like they spent all this money on weapons that they were overpaying on some things. Yes. I feel like this happened with Wentz. It was this rookie season with Peterson. They ended up winning 7 or 8 games, but this team again is not as good as the Eagles were that first season. I just feel like I think you're going to hit. I just feel like you might be sweating it. I think they're going to be stuck at 6 or something, 6 or I think they're going to be around that range. They
might win that 5th or 6th game towards the end of the season when no one even knows they're around anymore. Honestly, I looked at the schedule. I'm gonna bring up the schedule right now. I'm gonna look at it right now so I can just break this down for people. Those were kind of the games I'm like, wow, these guys really need to win.
Okay, so that's what. Yeah, so that I would have loved these guys. I would have gone against you. But I see that they're facing the AFC West, which is going to be the toughest division. So that's how they got screwed in the scheduling. They should not have gotten this brute. I have a huge chart, Chris, I put together for the whole season. And it looks like Jacksonville, 12 of their 16 games or 17 games are against teams that are projected 8 wins or more. So they're all good to competitive teams, to the top tier teams. That's a lot of games for a team that didn't make the playoffs. They got to face 12 decent, 2 good teams. That's not good for a team. They're gonna get better, progress, but that doesn't lead to necessarily win. So I get what you're saying there. They only won 3 games. Dougie P's not just going to turn this team all the way
Dougie
around.
P going to win you 4 games. That's what you're asking yourself at the end of the
No.
day. And no coach ever is going to win you 4 games. You'd be lucky if they bring you 1 win more than the other coaches. That's a lot in general. But this schedule at Washington, home against Indy, at LA, at Philly, Houston at home. That's fine. That could be possibly a win. Then at Indy, New York Giants, then Denver, then Vegas, then at Kansas City, Baltimore, Detroit, Tennessee, Dallas. Then you got the Jets there. Then you got Houston and Tennessee. Like,
yeah,
there's no way they win 7 games.
Yeah, I could see them getting a slow start, like a 3-8 or 3-9 start. They're going to suck, and then they're a team that'll start winning games at the end of the season. Be like, oh, these guys got it. You know what I mean? So,
but I guarantee you, if they lose both of those games, the Giants and the Washington Commanders, no chance in hell, though. So, and I'm bringing this up over here. The Colts are too hyped. Titans for the division winner. Russ, what are your thoughts?
Hold on. Let me see what my next game's going here. I can't answer that question there. But no, I don't like the Titans this year. Sorry, Mitch.
He doesn't like them too much over here. But
that's why this division is just so sloppy to me. I do not like this division one bit. I think the Colts are going to end up winning the division, but I think if they win it, I think it'll literally be like 9 wins. That's how bad I think this division is.
Yeah. All right, we got Don Play in here. Says, hello, folks. We talking about week 0 college football? We absolutely are. Wait till the end of the show. Stay tuned. I've been working on Conference USA games. Yes, Conference USA games. I will talk about them, and I'll give you my breakdown at the end of the show. So stay around, my man, Don.
Oh, now we're talking, man. I want to hear some people's opinions. The guys, don't hesitate to say who you like.
If you have something,
there,
I love that Mitch wanted to bring the little AFC with the Colts being too hyped. I absolutely love it, guys. I love the banter, because you got the wheels churning a little bit. Russ is fuming a little bit. He's like, I don't know about that over there. But you know what? Let's flip the script a little bit, Russ.
Only once in a while, I'll disagree with it. No one wants to see us kissing each other's ass over here.
No, believe me. If there was something I didn't like from him, you would hear about it. But right now, he's been okay so far.
I always look back at our games and I say, we split on these. I'm like, shit, I shouldn't have taken the favorite there. Yeah. So I always look back and say, yeah, you screwed up. You know what I mean? So you always look back on stuff. All right, so it's my turn here.
Yeah. You know what? Let's get into that game. Let's flip the script a little bit. You got something with the Titans, I feel like. I want you to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump. Yeah. I don't want Mitch to leave when I start talking about the Titans, man.
Hey, but guess what? My man just says I just subscribed. My man Don, thank you for subscribing, man. We love it. Spread the word,
there, man. I'll break them down. I want to see what you got there.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, hey, what do you got on the Titans here? Since you're talking so highly of them.
Highly? No, I was not talking highly.
I'm just stirring the pot.
Mitch should know from last year I'm a Titans hater, man. All right.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So we got the Tennessee Titans under 9.5 wins. I'm taking. It's at -135, and it's at that for a reason. So we have another team. This is what I do every year, guys. We have another team. They made the playoffs last year. Okay. They definitely overachieved big time. They ended up getting a 1 seed, and there's a reason why Mike Vrabel got the freaking coach of the year, okay? Because he's coaching Tannehill over here, all right? They were coming off a season where they went 6-2 in games decided by 7 points or less. They will be missing their stud receiver. Everyone knows A.J. Brown. He's out this season. So I see Tannehill struggling big time this year. The Titans were 1-3 last year in the games that A.J. Brown didn't play in. And whenever A.J. Brown was the leading receiver on the team last season, they went 6-0 in those games. All right. So he's definitely going to be a huge piece missing. You guys want to rely on Burks, the rookie. Everyone wants to talk about these rookies like in the offseason. They're going to change the team. Yeah, there's one guy like out of the whole season that changes a whole team. You know what I mean? There's like a Justin Jefferson, something like that. All right. You're not going to have these rookies. They do something. They're not going to change a team. All right. I definitely do not trust these guys. Take the under 9.5. I feel like this is going to be easy money. Just do not trust the Titans at all.
All right. Fair enough, man. I haven't did a whole lot of work with the Titans so far. I've been kind of enthralled in the college world for the most part, but I'm going to get into an actually kind of different bet for the NFL, the AFC North winner. I love the Baltimore Ravens to win this. Last year they won 8 games. They're plus 145 on FanDuel. If you know from last year, coming off a slew of injuries left and right last year, and they still won 8 games, even with like Huntley and whatever they threw at the table. There's a lot of question marks in this division. I mean, the Browns have the issue with Watson. The Steelers aren't that good. The Bengals have kind of their issues with the offensive line and that situation for the most part. But the over 9.5 wins is minus 150. Instead of just doing that, just take them to win the AFC North. If they're going to go win 10 games, they're going to win the division anyway. So you might as well not pay the juice with that. I think 10 wins will probably win this division in general. They could have a chance of winning 11. The offense, they did lose Marquise Brown for a first-round pick, but they still have Mark Andrews at the tight end. We know how much Lamar Jackson loves using that weapon right there. And then the Ravens, they play the AFC East, the NFC East, along with Jacksonville, Carolina, and Atlanta. Those teams suck. Mm-hmm. This should be good here. Plus 145. Give me the Ravens. Huge bounce-back season for the Blackbirds, the Ravens, winning the NFC North, plus 145, FanDuel, bucket.
Yeah, we are actually limiting our plays here. This would actually be a play, guys, that I love too. I just wasn't. We're limiting our plays, going to pick a certain amount of games. But if I were to pick, this is like a love pick too for me. I would love the Ravens too on that. Last year, this is why the Bengals and the Steelers did good, because you had teams like the Browns and the Ravens. When you have two teams in the division that were supposed to win 10 games, then you got a Baker Mayfield whose shoulder was messed up all season. And then you had the Ravens, whose whole team was basically hurt. They were giving up like 8 yards of completion. They were the worst in the NFL in yards allowed a game. And these guys have studs in the secondary. All these guys were missing. People don't realize this from the previous year. They look at these stats like, oh, these guys sucked last year. No, these guys are good. They win double-digit wins every single season. They had 1 year where everybody got hurt. And we talked about this before the season started. There's always one team that starts getting a ton of injuries before the season even starts, and everything goes wrong. Look at the Wentz year. Everybody, the offensive line was getting hurt. Wentz had to sit by week 14. He couldn't even play anymore because he was going to get sacked 10 times in a game. So, again, the Ravens, they should have been great last year. They had their off season. Everybody was missing. This year, they're going to dominate again. Bengals, they're an offensive team. They got an offensive line, but I think it's being overhyped over there with those Bengals. Last year was just a crazy year, Chris. Like you had the Raiders, the Bengals, Titans, all these teams that were just like average, looked like they shouldn't even have been in the playoffs. The season just went nuts because of all those injuries and COVIDs. Kind of messed up the whole season, I feel. People are in love with Burrow, so I can't talk about him,
No, absolutely. I get you. Everyone's got a warm spot for Burrow over here. But hey, Mitch is going to say, should grab early at -7 week 1 versus the Jets. I would still kind of wait because, I mean, even if it goes up to 7.5, I still think this could be a double-digit game for the most part. I think Salah's going to have a really hard time dealing with being out-coached and out-talented at the same time. And without their quarterback, maybe you will get an opportunity with -6. Maybe there'll be some weird Jets money that comes in. But if you get at 7.5, it doesn't matter because, honestly, you're going to win by double digits regardless. So I would just wait. Maybe you find a book where you lay a little bit more juice with like the -6.5 just to be a little safe. But this should be a shellacking and more of like an FU game to like last year. So we'll just wait a little bit, let them marinate.
Yeah, but you also don't want to pull 49ers versus Lions too, so he might want to grab it now if he likes them.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. If I feel like
I think they're going to kill him, but if he likes the game, I would put it down to 6.5 and just get the hell out of there.
Well, 6.5, I'm definitely playing right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's really the kind of thing I'm saying, because 7, God forbid, if they did win by 7 and you push, that would suck. The 6.5,
you got to think. You got to think all the shitty bettors, the average bettor. By the time it's Sunday, they're going to be pushing that accent on the Ravens. Man, I could see that going to -8 by the time it's game day or whatever. Because who the hell is going to be betting the Jets, man? I think Flacco is going to be starting too. So Flacco coming in there, no one's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm getting my money in on Flacco.
No, no one wants no Flacco money. That's the last thing we freaking need. All right, here we go, Russ. We got your last game here for the NFL. What do you got for us here?
All right. So again, I talked to you guys about fading those playoff teams from the previous season. When these teams, this is when I love it because it's average to below quarterbacks when this happens. So that's what I was talking about with Tannehill, just an average quarterback that just came off a crazy year. So we got another one. All right here. We got Trubisky as the quarterback this year, which is, I know everyone's talking about the rookie Pickett. He's going to come in there, but I know Trubisky's starting the season, so who knows if he's going to be playing 3 to 4 games, but that's how they're going to be rolling things here this year. And this was just like last year with any of the other rookies. These guys just don't come in right away, and these guys don't spark teams as well either. So I want to go over the Steelers real quick. They're going to have 14 games versus teams projected 8 wins or more this season. That's the most in the NFL. Yeah, tough schedule. Here's a list of some of their wins from last year. So I'm going to show you these wins. They had a win against the Ravens when they had Huntley as the backup. 2 wins versus the Browns with Baker Mayfield. Messed up shoulder the whole season. Was terrible last year. One of the wins was against Bridgewater with the Broncos. Geno Smith, which they won in overtime against the Seahawks. And then one of the wins were against the Titans where they were missing Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and Julio. The whole offense was out. So I love finding these teams that got lucky last year, winning, getting lucky in their schedule. Again, they also went 7-1 in the games decided by 7 points or less. So you're telling me, yeah, Trubisky at quarterback to start the season. This team went 7-1 in those close games. No freaking way, man. Give me the under 7.5 wins. This has got to be the easiest money ever.
Wow, that's crazy. And you know what the craziest thing is? I think Mike Tomlin's the best coach in football, but I don't even – this is what I'm talking about, though. You can have a great coach, but a coach might get you one extra win. This is murderer's row for these guys. With all these guys that are projected with these kind of win totals and everything, Russ, this might be my favorite play that you threw at me today. Like, I think this Steelers under is amazing. Like, this is by far the best play I think you threw at me all week.
Yeah, I mean, look at the you just got to look at your division. So, like, you're going to face the Bengals, and then you're going to face the Ravens. They swept the Ravens. That's why that's the only one that lost me last year because
the Ravens.
They swept the Ravens last year because I talked about
that's
that.
A problem for them.
Yep. So that's not going to happen this year. And now they swept the Browns last year.
You might get swept by the Ravens.
Yeah. So that was against Baker Mayfield, which all these guys do is just play defense. So that keeps them in games, but I would trust Big Ben more than I trust Trubisky. Like he's going to run around and he's going to cause mayhem with turnovers. Like I do not trust him. I could see these guys. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to bring the rookie in there. He'll play a lot better, run the system. But these guys just aren't going to be a playoff team to me. Definitely don't see them getting close to the playoffs. So I love that under 7.5 wins.
Absolutely, man. But yeah, those are our college and NFL futures. But what would the show be without, our Super Bowl MVP, that kind of things? Because the people love it. So we might as well just throw it out there for them. Russ, what do you got for the people for the Super Bowl and your MVP?
All right, so I'm going to give a couple options here for the MVP one. I'm going to go with Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert. These are 2 teams I love this year. I'm going to get Russell Wilson at 14-1 on FanDuel and Justin Herbert's at 9-1. I'm going to put both of these bets in, and I know that I'm hoping that
Russell Wilson, did you just say?
Oh, yeah, man, definitely. What do you think Russell Wilson fell off the planet because he messed up his finger last year, man?
I'm not big on Russell Wilson and the Broncos this year. And that's you talk a little bit, but I want to bring another conversation up in a little bit after you're done.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Who you got for your MVP?
All right. So I know it's kind of chalky, but you know what? They're going to be favored in practically every game this year. Believe it or not, big spoiler, I like the Bills to win it all this year. It's 6-1. I mean, hey, the team is veteran right now. Everything's been working out for him. Allen, he's been in the league for some time. He has as much playoff experience in the last 5 years as much as anybody in the league. The only 2 guys ahead of him are Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes. He's had a lot of playoff experience. I know they don't have Beasley anymore, but they got the wide receiver from Boise. He was fantastic last year. I remember he burned me a couple times in some games. The dude does not miss a catch. He's going to take over the spot easily for Cole Beasley. That defense is going to be nasty. We got the big boy in the middle. The guy from Houston, I can't think of his name off the top of my head right now, but he's the D tackle. He should have a really big year with Von Miller on the opposite side. This is what they need. And they're going to be favored every game. You're not going to get a better number right now on the Bills, 6-1. You might say, hey, they're the chalk. Like, why am I taking the chalk? Like, I could just wait for them. But you can, but it's not going to be 6-1. They might be like 2-1. It might be 3-1. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to be the team that's going to contend. And this is the most value you're going to get on the Bills. And on top of that, Allen is going to get MVP because they're going to be so good. So there might be chalk with chalk, but I'd rather take the take the value where it is. So that's
I actually like that too. The Bills I see having a huge year. I think they're going to win 13 or 14 games.
Exactly. And if they're going to do that, he's going to win MVP.
Yeah, I was looking back at all my data, and this is very similar. They had 0 close game wins last season. They had 5 close game losses, Chris. That was pretty crazy. What did they win last year? 11 or 12 games or something?
Right.
You don't see that, a team losing 0-5 in those games. I've seen a team do that. It was like the Saints. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago with Drew Brees. They went off that next year. And that was the year the Saints lost on that pass interference. So these teams, from experience, I look back, these teams make the championship game. So pencil the Bills in for the AFC championship game. I got them. We're going to be doing our Super Bowl predictions soon, but we both have the Bills making the Super Bowl basically.
So I want to ask you a question anyway, because I want to talk about Russ Wilson, because I'm not a big fan of the Broncos this year. I think they're kind of inflated because of the name of Russ Wilson. What are your opinions on a conference? I looked through the history of it, but before I reveal what I saw with it, what are your thoughts of having 3 out of the 4 teams being projected to have 10 or more wins in a conference? What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's right. I think we're going back to when Russell Wilson was with the NFC West before, what's his name? Kyler Murray came in with the Cardinals. The only reason the Seahawks suck, if you look at Russell Wilson, look back at those last seasons.
The luck factor?
No. The Seahawks, their pass defense, they were terrible for 3 straight seasons. And somehow Russell Wilson still got this team to make the wild card team. Like, they were still winning 10 games. This Broncos team's good, Chris. They got a great defense. And now we're bringing in Javonte Williams, the running back. He's going to be sick. He's going to be going off this year. I'm not giving away my secrets from my fantasy football draft, but he's going off this year. And then they got
Gordon was talking about how he's getting first reps and everything. I've been listening beyond.
Yeah, he's going to be nasty. All right. And then they got 2 solid receivers with Sutton and Judy. He's got the same thing he's got with the Seahawks. He's just going to have a much better run game now. Like, this team is going to be loaded. Russell Wilson, you just forget because he got hurt last season. Look back at those. Look up Russell Wilson, man. You look back. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the whole league, and it's just one of those things where everyone just forgets about him.
I don't think anyone's forgetting about him. I think a lot of people are bullish on him, except for me. I'm a lone wolf. But you know what? I mean, do you honestly think, like, because when I look at the 3 teams, okay, so I look at the Broncos, it's like over 10. I have, or actually some of them were 10.5, or even 11 with the Broncos, which I honestly would take the under, but that's just me. But the Chargers over 10, like, I think the Chargers will be better. Definitely. And of course, KC, I think people are sleeping on KC, and I think 10.5 because they lost Tyreek Hill. Everyone's like, oh, whoa, me, like, they're not going to be that good, but they got Juju. I mean, and you got to remember, Mahomes is good. I mean, it's not like he stinks or anything. I think they're going to go over 10.5. They got Andy Reid as the coach. I think they're going to be better than people think. So do you think all – I mean –
This is the show where we talk about it. We talk about things. So this year, most balanced teams, I got the Chargers and the Broncos. Those are my 2 teams.
Yeah.
Mahomes is on the Chiefs. I see them finishing 3rd, just squeaking out those 10 wins. If you remember last year, they won ugly in a lot of games. And now he was getting bailed out late. Like, look at when they beat the Bills in the playoffs. He got bailed out with Tyreek Hill. I don't see Juju Smith doing those bailouts on third down. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see what happens, but I'm hearing a lot of this love for the Raiders, man. I just want to talk about that.
Okay, sure. Absolutely.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all, one bit. All right, you're facing Russell Wilson 2 times, you're facing Mahomes 2 times, and you're facing Herbert 2 times, all right? You flip the script with the other teams, they say, oh, I get to face those guys, and I get to face Derek Carr. All right, Derek Carr is just one of the most overrated quarterbacks to me.
Okay.
Everyone's getting all amped up with the Adams signing, but these guys still have a bad offensive line. So you're getting the Broncos and the Chargers improving on defense, and you got a crappy offensive line there with the Raiders. I'm telling you, it's going to bite them in the ass. They're another team that'll squeak by, beating some bad teams, but now you got a loaded division. I'm hearing all the national talk about all these Raiders talk.
Okay.
I don't see it happening at all, man. I think
So McDaniel's pretty much, I mean, he's the head coach, but he's more of a run-oriented kind of coach. So I don't know if they're gonna giving Carr a little more, cushion, if you will, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So in your opinion, I mean, when I looked at previous seasons, I was shocked to actually see more, like within every year, a division having 10 wins or more. It actually showed up a lot more than I thought. 3 teams having 10 wins. Like, I was actually kind of surprised. I didn't think it was
the thing is, people think there's going to be 4 teams with 10 wins or more.
Well, that's just never going to happen.
Exactly. So. That's what I'm saying.
3 teams is a lot. I mean, I was shocked to see how many times I saw it.
But this division's the best division in the NFL, and it's going to be just like the NFC West when you had the Rams, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. Now you're just adding that Russell Wilson element coming into that division again. And look at the Cardinals. That's like the Cardinals are like the sexy team. Like the Raiders will be that sexy team. They'll put up all those offensive stats, but they're not. They're going to be the bottom feeders of those. Like, look how great the Cardinals started. They flew off to the bottom. The only reason the Cardinals made the playoffs too is because Russell Wilson got hurt too last year. They sucked. The Seahawks weren't in it. Yeah. So it's just how it is. Teams get bumped up. They made the wild card, and look what they did in the wild card. They got demolished. Kyler was throwing pick sixes. Remember that in the playoffs against the Rams? They were killing them, man. So some of these teams make the playoffs that aren't even supposed to be in the playoffs. It's just how the season plays out. I had to watch some ugly Raiders, Titans, Bengals games. All right, what was the games? Like 19-16. They're just terrible. Those are not good teams at all. So, again, just giving my opinion. People won't agree with me, but just speak.
Like, I don't agree with you with the Denver Broncos. I think they're going to underachieve, but that's just me. But anyway.
Right, well, before you keep hating on them, let me just throw the thing out there for everyone to make sure they get this bet. And whoever likes my points on the Broncos. All right. So if Russell Wilson isn't going to put up the big stats that he may not, just because I think Javonte is going to put up great stats at running back. So Wilson might not have the great stats. Nathaniel Hackett, 16-1 for Coach of the Year. Make sure you guys get that in. So you want to look at the teams that finished last. They finished last in the division last year, only 7 wins last year. It's all about win differential. So you get a team that wins about 4 more games than they did the previous season. I looked back at all these Coach of the Years, and it's always the biggest discrepancy. These guys, if they win that 11 games, that's going to be the 4-win discrepancy right there. I love this 16-1 with Nathaniel Hackett, a new coach coming in there and going to improve this team. I think it's a smart bet right there.
All right. Well, 16-1, it's worth a little sprinkle. I can see where you're going with. But, hey, that Buffalo Bills guy I saw was Khalil Shakir. Dude, I had nightmares about him last year in college football. I swear he caught every ball at Boise State. That dude's going to be an absolute stud. He'll be better than Cole Beasley. Book it. Dude's going to be a stud. They're going to throw him right in the slot. It's going to be a field day. Allen's going to have a lot of fun. That team's just going to be so good. But, that's pretty much what we're doing with the NFL and college here for the most part, guys. But, hey, Don wanted some, week 0 plays, man. I've been looking here for week 0. I'm going to give you a little bit of info of what I have found this week. It's all Conference USA. You said, what? Conference USA? I said, yeah, Conference USA. This is what we're doing over here. So I'm getting to the first game here. Charlotte 49ers versus the Florida Atlantic Owls over here. Russ and I always talk about the line being something that really dictates something. We talked about it. When the public money is really pounding one side and that line's not moving, Russ, how do we feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm early in the season. I'm all about like sharp action. If I see sharp action of big line moves early in the season, they mean something, guys. Usually early in college football, people take advantage of certain lines. That's the type of stuff I love to look at. But definitely from the previous season, like we talked about, where people think a team's as good as they were the last season. That's how you can easily just tell if a team is improved. You look at what the spreads were from last season. You can tell what the spreads are this season. That's how much more improved those teams are. So, just an example, I just want to say real
Yeah,
quick.
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah, sure.
say you have like a couple teams, like I'm just going to throw out like a Utah versus Washington. Say Utah kills Washington, they're minus 24, minus 27 the past 2 seasons. So people then the next year say, oh, Utah, they're minus 3 on the road against Washington. These guys killed them the last 2 times. They got this. No, that's how much more improved the team is this year. All right. So when you got 25% of the bets on that Washington team and everyone's betting minus 3 on Utah just because they say, oh, they killed them the last 2 years. Yeah, that's when you become the sucker. Hey, I was a new better 20 years ago. All right. I did the same thing. All right. I looked at that same random stuff. Oh man, I got an edge here. Nah, you're looking at the wrong edge, guys. You're on the wrong side. So
Anyway, I'm glad you brought that up because it's the perfect scenario for this right now. So FAU's been crushing Charlotte for many years. This is the situation. Both teams fell short of the bowl season. They're both looking to improve. The last 3 meetings, Owls have beat the 49ers easily. The most recent loss was the most embarrassing. The Owls just crushed Charlotte 38-9. Most of the players are back with Charlotte. They bring a lot back on offense. They especially bring back their quarterback. 5-year senior, pretty much. He's been there. You can pretty much call him a doctor at this point. But Chris Reynolds, he's the quarterback, has been improving every year. He was really solid last year. He's bringing everybody back. There's no excuses for this offense to go blow for blow with the Owls. They can score with the air. The ground game's fantastic. If you're looking right now at the spread in general, the spread's been at 7, 7.5. 70% of the money has been on Florida Owls because of that perception that they've been smashing them in the mouth and the line's not moving. The money keeps coming in for the Owls. The line doesn't move. You talked about that's a huge red flag. Sports books are begging you to take this minus 7, 7.5. The line should increase, but it's not doing it here. It's a new year. This is a revenge factor. This is what we call double, the triple revenge. He's been there for 4 years. This is his 5th year that he's going to be here, and he wants to at least keep this game close, if not win outright. I'm leaning the dog here. The Charlotte 49ers getting 7.5. And then, by the way, Charlotte's on the road. In the series, they've been 4-0, the away team, in the last 4 meetings. So the road team has been covering this game a good amount here. And Charlotte really wants to get off to the right foot and flip the script. This is personal. Tons of seniors on this team on the offensive and defensive side. Give me the 49ers plus 7.5. And honestly, if you're feeling froggy, you want to leap, sprinkle a little bit of that money line because I think that can happen too.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't do a ton of research. I did a quick glance at the college games, though. One thing that stood out to me, which I will note, was Hawaii.
Okay, Hawaii, Missouri, right?
I saw something like they had like 5 returning starters, man. Like the team, this is what you guys got to look at in the first month of the season. You want to get these experienced teams that have the same quarterback from last year. They bring out the offense, things like that.
We're dealing with the 49ers.
Yeah, and you also want to fade the teams that aren't bringing back anyone. Exactly. You had Stanford last year. Were terrible last year to start the season. This team's got 5 returning starters. They actually have a new coach. This program, they just lost everything. The team is a mess, man. So I can see this is where I see some movement. I think it's like 6.5. It's getting up to 9 right now. This could be something where keep your guys' eyes on. When I see a line move like 3 or more, that means there's sharp action. And those are the type of games you want to jump on early in the season where people know stuff and you want to jump on it. So I would keep my eye on that Vanderbilt game and jump on them. If it jumps to 9.5, I'm jumping all over that.
Absolutely. But I wanted to get into another Conference USA game since I'm all over this conference in general. The UTEP Miners, They are home against the Mean Green. That everyone that's watched this show has been a team to our heart because we love the Mean Green. We cash with them constantly. But as you know, we do not bet with our hearts. We bet with our heads. I love the Miners getting 1.5 here. This is Saturday night. They're actually expected to get their first ever sellout crowd over for the Miner Nation. This is big revenge against the Mean Green. Mean Green has been having their way with them the last 3 years. UTEP brings tons of experience, 7 returning starters, including the quarterback, Gavin Hardinson. The Miner QB has been actually, if you look at his home stats, they're fantastic. 11 TDs with 3 interceptions last season. He plays well. He's going to be hyped up. This is a big game for him. The line is low. They're begging you to take the Mean Green. The Miners have a great running back duo in Ronald Await and Deion Hawkins. They averaged for over 1,300 yards last year. This defensive line for North Texas is the worst in Conference USA. They should be able to control this line, and they should be able to run all day on them with the quarterback, with the running back, exploit them with their, really good offensive line for the most part. And honestly, Dimble, the head coach for UTEP, he says it's the best defense he's ever had here with the Miners. And that speaks volumes. When a coach feels like something on their side of the ball is their best, they're going to have the best defensive line in this conference. And you're saying the Miners, best defense in the conference? Yes, their defensive line is going to be the best with a really good linebacking core. They should be able to dominate on both lines of the scrimmage. They want you to take that North Texas money. I've taken it, and I've cashed it many times. This will not be the case over here. This line is low for a reason, plus 1.5. Give me the Miners all day. And the Miners are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 home games played. They play well at home. This is going to be a sellout crowd. They're going to be really juiced for this for us. This is a lot of emotion.
What's going on there? You got some inside information here on the sellout crowd here, dude?
I have information everywhere.
Is it $1 dog night or something, dude?
Miner Nation. Dude, Russ, you know me. I dig deep with everything. I have sources. I have all these great things.
Is this a Cincinnati Reds game? Is it bring your dog to the game day or something?
Dude, I know all the bring your dog to the game. If you follow me on Twitter at Chris Seabaum, I'm a sucker for dog content. So you already know this. So if there's something going on with the dogs, I already like the dogs. They're barking twice this week with Conference USA. Give me the Miners plus 1.5. Dogs are definitely live here. Outright, no problem. Give me Miner Nation. These guys are going to be juiced. There's a lot of emotion here, Russ.
I'm not going to argue with you on the home dog, man. That's not going to happen.
What's going on?
I said, I'm not going to argue with you on the home dog.
I'm all riled up. How can you argue against me?
I'm not saying anything. But, no, I got a couple just quick games. I was going to just give a lean.
Let's hear it.
Just because these guys want some action. I mean, just taking a quick look at the Illinois-Wyoming game. I see that line is dropping with the over-under. I just feel like the 2 offenses suck. I feel like this is just going to be a really sloppy game, Chris. It's the first game of the season. We have
Villanova's a good coach, though.
Yeah, very limited returning guys, though, for Wyoming. And I don't know. I think Illinois will just play down to their shitty level. I can see something like a 20-10 game there, though. That's all I'm saying for that one. And then there was one more I just took a look at, Nebraska against Northwestern. I like Nebraska. Obviously, I took their win total, but I'm not going to bet them with the spread. I feel like the whole world's on them. I've been on games like that where they'll win by 10 points there. So, but that game is in Dublin. So I just feel like it's one of those things where there isn't going to be defense played. I just feel like it's one of those games where I feel like Frost is going to get the offense going. I think they could get in the 30s, and Northwestern could randomly get in the 20s randomly by Nebraska just giving them points at the end. So that's the type of game where I actually like the over there. Whenever you see those out of country games in the NFL too, it always seems like they're like a shootout, like close game shootout type of game. You know what I mean? So I would.
Well, I mean, if I'm looking at I'm actually looking at the live line right now. It actually dropped down to -12 right now. It was 13.5. There might be some action coming in on the Nerds of Northwestern, so that could be a possibility. I like your underplay more because I think they just these kind of games where you're going out of country and you're not in a familiar environment. You just want to get out of Dodge. It's a weird, you're in a different time zone. It's just very like it's not normal, right?
They're all just excited to be there too. It's like when teams play bad when they go to Hawaii. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, we're in Hawaii.
Yeah.
You get like Army, Navy, all those smaller schools go there, and then they just play
right. I like the underplay better than the spread. I think it's smart. I think they just the game's gonna be played. I don't think really any team's gonna feel comfortable. I think it's just like you're there. It's a promo kind of game. So I think that underplay is really good. I think getting your feet wet your first week. I like the fact that Frost is gonna get these guys going. He was even I don't know if you heard the reports at all, but he was talking about his linemen throwing up every practice because he was working him so hard. So I don't know what the hell is going on. But
the thing is with Northwestern, Fitzgerald, I just want to throw out there, his record as a dog, like he had I remember years ago, his record as a dog was pretty crazy, man. He was covering a lot of spreads. And last year I took their under on team wins, but a lot of things went wrong for them last year. So I'm not expecting them to be god awful. Northwestern's usually like right there, like 4 or 5 wins to get to the bowl sometimes. So they're not a terrible team that just gets blown out usually. Last year was just a season where things blew up on them. So the first game of the season, that's why I wait and see. I'm not taking favorites. If I were to take a favorite, it's usually like those big favorites where you're like, hey, I know Alabama, I know Ohio State, I know that offense is going to come out and put up 50 points for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't know that with other teams, what the hell they're going to do.
No, I hear you, man. But hey, that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. I know a long show. Russ and I, we haven't hung out in a while, so you got us for over an hour, which is pretty crazy. Plus, I'm getting a text from my wife. She wants to watch Big Brother.
Oh, shit.
Great season, by the way. I don't know if you've been watching, but it's been absolutely amazing. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's been good. These last few seasons sucked. So this season has lived up to the hype and then some. But hey, thanks again, guys. You can find me at Chris Ebom on Twitter. I'm going to be doing stuff for PicksWise as well if you've been listening. I've been doing a lot of write-ups for them as well for the week. I think there should probably be an announcement sooner than later of me being with them. But if you're watching the show, you're listening firsthand, I'm going to do write-ups. I talk about the over-unders and the point spreads as well. I did it for these Conference US games I talked about briefly. I have more breakdowns of that. So hit me up on at Chris Ebom at Twitter, just to, if you want more info. And that's Rus Reese, the Vegas line reader on Twitter. He's always, putting his games out there. You're looking for his system plays and everything. Be sure to reach out to him. So that'll do it, Russ. Thanks again. This is a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Once the season starts, we're going to get rolling, guys. We're going to start talking about all the games, try to help you guys with injuries, things like that, let you guys know what's going on. Ramping up for the football season, excited. We dominated last year, and we're going to dominate again this year. So make sure you guys give us a follow on Twitter. Shoot us any messages with any questions you guys have on the games. So we'll see you guys next week, and we'll talk about the games next week.
Absolutely, guys. Remember to subscribe, just like Don, man. He just subscribed, so let's do it, man. Let's rise and fire, and we're going to have games coming up after this, so we're going to be getting into those games as well. So, Russ, you ready for the season?
I'm excited, man. Can't wait till next week.
All right, man. Let's go.